Good evening, friends and neighbors. My name is Terry Carter, and I'm a writer and a poet. I also have the awesome privilege of directing elder services here at our beloved West Medford Community Center. Welcome to our 23rd monthly presentation of First Friday's Words and Music. That's right, more than 2 years ago, with friends from Somerville Community Access Television, we ventured forth with this idea that a local program, which blended the most engaging conversations we could host with the best live music we could secure, would appeal to a neighborhood audience in our greater Medford family. After 2 years, we feel like a PBS show that's really found an audience. We thank you all for joining us regularly, or if it's your first time, we thank you for joining us in what's been a fantastic way to celebrate community. So even as we continue to watch our edited broadcast reach even more folks through our expanding partnership with Medford Community Media, we will be videotaping tonight's program to post on Facebook Live. To everyone out there watching us online, welcome to First Fridays in West Medford. Now, before we get started, I'd like to send out special thanks to all the folks who have continued to help us make this thing work. I'd also like to thank the Cummins Foundation, Ken and Maura Krause, and the Medford Arts Council for their continued financial support. Finally, I want to give some shout-outs to the family of the late Brandon Bolden, Andy and Sammy Beck Newman, West Medford Community Spirit, and the West Medford Lobster Fest Committee. Also a virtual army of volunteers for helping to make our 3 yearly celebrations of neighborhood, Hoops and Hope, Labor Day at Duggar Park, and the West Medford Lobster Fest, absolutely spectacular. I also want to personally thank the Lobster Fest Committee for dedicating this year's event to the memory of my late brother, Scott Carter. Needless to say, Scott loved the Ville, and he loved the Lobster Fest. Amen. Now don't forget, the Community Center's annual meeting is on Sunday, September 15th at 2 o'clock right here in this room. Come out and let your voice be heard. Okay, so we're here, as our public outreach suggests, to talk about family, particularly about the complex, difficult, and rewarding nature of parenting families with young children. And we're absolutely thrilled to have with us one of the city's most avid and active advocates for parents and children. Someone we've been wanting to have as a guest expert for many months. Please welcome Marie Cassidy.
Thank you. Thank you, Terry.
You're welcome.
I'm thrilled to be here.
Absolutely. Now, Marie is the director of the Medford Family Network, and Tufts University put it this way as they conferred an honorary doctorate on Marie in 2017. For 25 years, she has been a champion for children and their families. She has worked tirelessly to develop support systems, build community, and connect people with the resources they need. Her quest has always been to promote resilience, education, and healthy child development. She herself has spent countless nights and weekends leading classes, workshops, and activities for families, children, teen parents, and grandparents. At the same time, she has partnered with local nonprofits and governmental agencies, played an active role in the fight against poverty and for human rights, and been an eloquent advocate for the importance of parenting, education, and support, childhood literacy, and diversity. She has improved the lives of countless young people and their families in Medford, and served as an inspiration for others. And all the while, she has also been an outstanding community partner to this university and our students. That deserves a wow. Many people put family first, but as a Head Start director, public school teacher, and social worker, Marie Cassidy has done it professionally for nearly 5 decades, and she's only 39.
I know.
As director of the Medford Family Network, or MFN, of the Medford Public Schools for 25 years, she has worked tirelessly to build and bolster support systems for families of young children and establish relationships between community agencies. Her biography alone could take up our entire time tonight, but I'm going to stop there. Marie, thank you so much for joining us this evening. It's a real treat to finally have you on the program.
Thank you so much, Terry. I'm very honored.
You're welcome. You're welcome. So I usually like to begin our conversation with a piece of poetry that sets the atmosphere. So let's try this piece from November of 2018. Okay, this is called The Wonder Years. Just in the past few, you've had numerous parenting workshops, weekly play groups, swap days, circle time, story time, kaboom science exploration, storybook and nature walks, Friday nights with families, movies, ice cream, pizza, and so much more. Could you talk a bit about about MFN's history, your mission, and your vision?
Oh, sure. Thank you, Terry.
You're
Beautiful,
welcome.
beautiful poem.
Thank
Thank you
you.
so much. Well, as you know, for 25 years we've been in Medford, and actually entering our 26th year, as a result of education reform law, which was created to look at how educators were being educated and add something new to education, and that was to see how we can connect with families and parents. If we believe that they're the most important, longest lasting, and best teachers of our children, as you said in your poem, what are we doing as a community to make that happen? So at that point in time, the Medford Public Schools submitted a request. There was funding available to say, well, let's figure it out. Let's find out how we can do this. And the Medford Public Schools submitted a request for the funding.
Okay.
And I was a social worker at the time at the then DSS,
Okay.
loving my job and just doing my thing. And then got a call from the public schools saying, you know, we've heard this is a person who likes to talk about family programs and how can we serve families better. And so I gave them some ideas on how to do that. And that was that.
Wow.
Yeah,
Wow.
and then I got a call 2 months later saying, why aren't you applying for this job? And I said, what job? What happened? The Medford Public Schools is one of 7 grantees in the entire state. That was 26 years ago now. 200 submissions went in. And we, Medford Public Schools, was one of the 7 that were granted the funding. So that says a lot for the ambitious nature of that grant that went into the beginning of the program.
Wow.
So I got a piece of paper and a desk and was told, go do it, girl, just go do it. So as you said, my background was in a Head Start director, I was a social worker, I was a teacher at the Roberts, actually years and years ago, park instructor in Medford, supervisor and all of that.
Wow.
So I had a good sense of family and what I wanted to have happen, because behind it all, I'm a Medford girl, and there's a wonderful art term called chiaroscuro. And it means with the light and the dark, right? How do you play the light and dark to be both vibrant both ways? And I'll just say that my life growing up in Medford was a lot of that. It's chiaroscuro. It was Kira, the wonderful beauty of one parent, and Mascuro, not so tough, not so easy with the other. So at a young age, I wanted to find a way that I would try to bring the darkness into the light for children. I didn't know how I was going to do that, but I know I was, from then on, I was dedicated to do that.
Wow.
So I was blessed with having a teaching job and running a Head Start program. I learned so much from Head Start, so much. And so I'll turn this over to this chart over here.
Okay, please.
And this was the original concept of what the Medford Family Network was going to look like. If you can look at these circles, the yellow circles there, and in there is a West Medford Community Center and the Head Start program that was here in Boston Ave. The Brook School, the Osgood School, all the different schools we have here.
Absolutely.
There are 23 versions of the Family Network that I was charged with creating. So I had to bring this into fruition, those many, many years ago. So what were they? They were just pockets, maybe a library, a meeting area. We had a place at the Head Start Center. The West Medford Community Center had a place for parents to gather small, not very big. Larger places, say at the Lawrence Memorial Hospital.
Okay.
And then we found that as great as that was, the real mission was to bring parents together.
Okay.
So we had to get smaller and smaller, but larger, so that we could bring parents more together in larger quantities. In other words, you can do a couple of parents here talking to each other, but there was no real opportunity to sit down and have more of a conversation and really learn. So I've been knowing about a lot of curricula about parenting education. So, and I was a teacher, so I knew a lot about play groups and teaching and all that. So we ended up with 5 centers, larger ones, but opportunities now for parents to come together more and talk to each other, learn from each other, learn from curricula, and test it out and come back and talk about all of that. So then, so that was many, many years. And the Kennedy School, I don't know if you remember, that's Kennedy School in South Medford. That was ended up to be one of our sites. A very huge site, a beautiful one, and with a living room, a library, playgroup rooms, and the gym to use. And that's where we really came together, I think, as a real support network for families. And in later years, I was able to get the Medford High School where we are today.
Yes.
So what I did was I found a grant, because I didn't have a lot of money, for I think it was $40,000, and I was huge, and I heard about this being available up at Medford High School, but we didn't have a 501c3. That's a nonprofit status, as you are. So I had to create a nonprofit, which I did, and the wonderful parents in the Family Network at the time were able to take on that role as a nonprofit. It's called the Friends of the Medford Family Network.
Okay.
And it was in existence today, and today runs a galas at the City Hall, raising funding for our program. And they took that on, so I was able to get the funding and renovate the space, which is now the Family Network in Medford High School. So that was just an amazing opportunity for us. And I want to go back quickly to what you said about the play groups and the classes
Absolutely.
I am absolutely blessed with an amazing staff.
Okay.
An amazing, dedicated, loyal staff. Most of them have been with me since the time we started. So they struggled along with me. They made mistakes. I made the mistakes and they had to fall for them. But we marched together. And I think that showed parents, you get through the struggle, you figure it out,
right.
You stay together as best you can. And when you can't, take the best of each other. And that's what we did. And we continue to this very day.
Fantastic.
I'm blessed.
Okay.
Blessed.
Let me hold you up there for
Sure.
just a second, because some of the things that you say, really resonate with me. Medford, from an educational standpoint, has always been a very progressive community. A lot of people don't realize that 10 years before busing started in Boston, Medford was one of the first, if not the first community to embrace busing as a way to achieve racial balance within the schools here. So kids from this community, which was predominantly African American at the time, were bused to 4 different schools. The Gleason, the Dane, 3 different schools initially, and the Wade. And so I went to the Wade School, starting in 3rd grade, and I maintain, and a lot of people will, argue about this, but I maintain that it probably was the best thing that could happen for the kids in this community. I know that, again, there are some people that dispute it, because we got an opportunity as young, black kids, to figure out for ourselves what race was and why it was important and how we could better, I don't want to use the word assimilate, so I'll use the word integrate into the greater life of Medford as a city. So I think that, from that standpoint, the experiment worked. And I maintain, again, and this is just me personally, that academically, it was the best thing that could have happened as well, because the teachers that I had at the Wake School, I wouldn't have encountered at the Hervey, and they really pushed me, and they really challenged me. And even something like the writing that I do today was probably spurred by that experience. Particularly in the 6th grade, I had a teacher named Mrs. Accomando.
Oh, sure, yes.
And Mrs. Accomando was, for us kids, she was a stormtrooper. And, you know, she was a drill sergeant. She's a lovely woman, compassionate, loved to teach, loved all of her kids. But boy, she worked us like Hebrew slaves. I mean, she really, really pushed us, and I got a lot out of it. So, you know, again, I know a lot of people maintain that busing in some ways, you know, was an experience that was negative for many of the children from West Medford that went to the Hervey, went to the Wake, the Gleason, and the Dame. And I wrote a piece about it somewhere along the line. They really benefited from that experience. So let me ask you, you talked a little bit about the early days of your program 26 years ago. You know, maybe fast forward a little tiny bit.
Okay.
You got a lot of parents across the city involved in the network, both, you know, participating in all of the events that you do and also volunteering to help. When they first came to the program, what do you think they were expecting to find?
Well, it's a great question. It's a great question because what I expected to find was families who would say, "This is wonderful, this is great." And what I got was a lot of, and I went all over the city, walking around, literally walking around, finding families, going to the library. What I found was, I don't need that. I'm doing just fine. My mama beat me or hit me, and I'm gonna have to, you know, I turned out just fine, didn't I? Or it's for those people. Oh, okay.
Whoever those people
are. And that's what I got a lot of. And so the more I asked, the more I learned that I've got to really work really hard and listen more and say, so really. So I met with different families and went down to the library a lot to talk to parent, and use the Lagoon Room for some meetings. And I remember in March of '94 was my first parent meeting in the Lagoon Room at the Medford Public Library. 12 people sat around and said, "Wait a minute, this is great. You want us to sit down together, have something to eat, and someone's going to take care of our children while we talk about them and how it's driving us a little crazy?" And I said, "Yes, we are. That's what we're going to do." So after that, I used what was then called the Medford Family Life Center, which was now called Hanging Home, the homeless shelter on Central Avenue. And I held one of my first parenting education classes there. And thinking back of how difficult it was in the beginning of those, the very first year, I said, I know it's going to be tough for you. I'm asking you to bare your soul a little bit, but I know trust takes time. We're just going to sit here and get to know each other a bit, and then we'll talk about they talk about parenting and how we are in child development and who you are as a human being as well as a parent. And they said to me, "No, Marie, you don't understand. We are ready. We are chomping at the bit." And I was thrilled to, after all that, you know, just working it, finally, the first real series was They Were So Ready. Because we had something for them to eat, you know?
Yeah, absolutely.
Sustenance for the soul, the food for the body,
That's right.
Food for the mind, food for the soul. And so we had child care workers, my current still child care workers, I'll name them. There was Ann Leach, Penny Lynch, Cindy Sabag, Andrea Breen, and Bernadette Kennedy. And they just were amazing child care staff because the parents for the first time could sit back and go, "Oh, I can breathe, I can think, I can say something that I don't have to care, but you know, I can." But then my point was, we're not going to badmouth our partners. We're not here to badmouth anybody. We're here to just emote, talk, share, and then think and look at some curricula. I have them right here.
Sure.
Look at some curricula, some vetted opportunities to look in where a lot of research is done with this and talk about when you feel like this, what can you do rather than hit? What can you say? How can you think? How can you do to stop? And so we've used these parenting programs forever, systematic training for effective parenting. I've used Love and Logic. I've used How to Talk So Kids Will Listen. A lot of different ones. But this has been very successful in using over the years. I have one for young years, one for the elementary, and just so you know, we go up to age 8 right now. That's what I'm funded for, up to age 8, through the Children's Trust and through the Department of Early Education and Care. But now we're reaching in to the teenagers.
All right.
That's a good one. And just to say that I'll promote this. We are offering like a latency age, children 9 through 12. We're offering our second program at the McGlynn School starting in October, and it's called In the Middle. Wow. So I want to promote that program. You'll see a lot of flyers around the city about it.
Very good.
But,
that's kind of the age that we're dealing with here at the community
so come
center
on
now.
down.
The middle schoolers.
That's right. That's
and,
right.
We have a program that runs from 3 to 6.
That's right.
And we've got Bill about 15 kids.
Between 15 and 20.
Yeah. So and they're loud and boisterous. they keep it hopping in here. That's for sure. That's for sure. Now, can you give us a sense of how and I spoke about all the different activities. How do you accomplish all of the activities and events that you do?
I think one way is don't think in traditional time terms.
Okay.
Parents, and the nature of work these days is so unique and so different. Parents who are working are also at home, so they have more opportunities during the day to come to programs. Because they're working on weekends, or they're doing working at home and they have a day off.
Flexible time.
Flexible time.
Okay.
A lot of parents are working night. Parents are shift. A lot of our parents in Medford, that one's doing the day shift, one's doing the evening shift. So we have to offer programs during the day, afternoons, evenings, and weekends.
Okay.
So we have to utilize the city as best we can. We have beautiful parks here.
Yes, that's
I'm
right.
using those parks. Duggar, waiting for the sprinkler and all. For years we've been using all the parks, for traveling places in the park. And then we use the schools. We're using the homeless shelter again.
Okay.
We're using the library when it was there for many, many years.
Right.
And now we're taking over 7 of their programs into the Family Network.
Wow.
So that's a big, huge addition to our ongoing program.
Okay.
So it's utilizing time and space that's in Medford. Really be creative of what you're going to use for a parenting education program, for a play group, for opportunities to parents to connect.
Okay, so have you been able to also translate all of that, time shifting, and have you been able to translate that into volunteer opportunities as well as paid staff?
Great question. Yes, I'm so proud that many of our parents who are in our program as parenting have received it are now doing it. We've trained them. I've had them being trained by the official STEP program and training programs. Now they are giving back to the upcoming new parents, right? And also we have a parent advisory board that I created the minute we started this program. I want to hear from you as a parent. You be my eyes and ears.
Right.
What are we doing right? What can we do better?
Okay.
How can we do more? How do we make it quality? Not just quantity, but quality programming. And I also have created 501c3 opportunities for parents to run fundraisers. So we have trivia nights together I spoke about earlier at City Hall. We'll have Valentine teas and ice cream socials to raise money. In fact, at the Valentine tea, the city council is invited, the school committee is invited, and the wonderful mayor is invited to, we call them super scoopies. Super scoopies, we scoop, and we raise money for friendly. But so there are many opportunities for volunteers. And we often hear, how can I pay back? One of the ways our volunteers pay back is we have a swap day every 3 months at the Jewish Center. So we have about, I'm going to say 40 volunteers who spend a week getting the clothing and the toys and the boots and the books, vetting them, arranging them, and setting the whole thing up, and do an amazing job of that. So,
would you tell folks in the audience a little bit about how the swap day operates? Because I think it's a fantastic idea. As a matter of fact, my wife has a foundation, and we did a big yard sale. But, you know, that's folks coming in and paying for things versus the swap, which is just a totally different model. It's like a barter and trade model.
It is a barter and trade model. So we have, over the course of a week, well, throughout a week, we collect, and people know when it's coming out. It's September 15th, a week from Sunday, 3 to 4:30 at the temple. So we have, it's set up almost like a store. So you go into this huge room with sizes on every table, nicely set out, boots and shoes on the stage, toys in a whole other area, cradles, strollers, whatever you want. And you come in, you sign in, and then you go around and choose what you would like. We often have, there's a Haitian church in Medford that their members value this as well. So we set aside time for them, the members, to have a separate time to come in. And so they love that. They get into a van, they come up with the pastor, and they choose what they like and get what they need. So we do it every 3 months. And we also had a toy swap during December. And we save toys, but the piece about this we've added on to is the family financial literacy component to it. Because we try to get comprehensive, so we teach kids about money. Because you've got $3, please, they call it the MFN bucks. So you have 3 or 5 MFN bucks. How are you going to spend it? Who are you going to spend it on? And what's the value there? And then we talk about saving. We talk read stories about money that are fun and interesting, and then have them take their MFN bucks and purchase items for their loved ones or their friends. And then at the end, they get, for thinking of others in that way, there's a box of little things that we had. You may take one of these and for you, because you did it for someone else. And then we have a dress-up swap during October, so that if parents want to have, say, costumes or different things and dress-up gear, we'll do that as well. So you come in, we'll spend a week collecting them, vetting them, making sure they're clean and in good condition. And then we offer them at the Family Network and in the foyer. And then we also have a freebie foyer, if anyone's heard about that. But it's called a freebie foyer. And you walk into the Medford Family Network, you'll be, it's a big, huge welcome sign in 42 languages and our big logo. But then you have a beautiful compartment of drawers that are all beautifully done in turquoise. And you pull out the sizes and you go look in there and see what you would like. Size 2, size 4, size 6, whatever you need. And there's bags upstairs. You take what you need. It's there available every day.
Wow.
So you just come in, you take what you need, and we have diapers, sizes newborn up to 6 for any family who needs diapers.
That's just fantastic. What a resource. What a resource. Okay, so thank you very much. So clearly you've helped parents negotiate across a wide berth of challenges with this partnership. You know, why don't you talk a little bit about some of the things that, you know, obviously we don't name names, but you've helped parents navigate their way through some of the challenges.
Okay, it's a great question too. We work a lot with Department of Children and Families as a social worker years ago. And so we work with those families on parenting issues, but also giving them a lot of positive feedback. What are you doing right? What's working for you? Look at that baby. That's your baby. You know, how can we help to work with partner and work with see how things can improve. Let's talk about some issues you've got going on. So we work again with therapists, with do one-on-one counseling. What we have, we'll do supervised visits at the network if need to be, if okay by the social worker. But I think here's an incredible story that. When I was a social worker, I brokered many of the adoptions and worked with foster parents. And one of the foster parents, I brokered a sibling group. The mom has had a tough time. The adopted girl had a very tough time through the years, and she came to me last year. She's now she was in DCF, and she came to me and had remembered that I was the social worker that pulled her into her new family, got through, and she's been sober for 2 years, had a baby 1 year ago, and I work with her a lot at the Family Network to just keep her going, get her. She went to her first parent education class in the spring, so she loved it. So it's just that one-on-one too.
Sure.
So it's it was great. And I just saw her yesterday. She came the day before, and she's always giving things to the freebie foyer. She's always I got a toy. I've got a book. So she's learning. She's got value. That toy, she's going to go to some other child, and she loves knowing that. So it's those little things. If you can make people remarkable people just by one little thing that they can do every day. That's one little story. And then I think it's just parents saying they're not alone. The evaluations I get, they say, I'm not alone. I sat in a room with a bunch of other people who are feeling the same thing, who want to pull their hair out, or just don't know what to do, and weren't raised in a way that they value. They want to do it differently.
Sure.
What can I do differently? I don't want this for my child. I'll do this and this, but I'm not going to do that. So we'll talk about those things. What can you do? And I'll call it, this is a safe setting because their children aren't here in earshot of this, but they're able to say exactly what's on their mind, get some ideas about that.
Okay. Along those lines, are you also able to set up kind of peer networks where parents can draw on the strength and stories of other parents in order to kind of make sense of what they're dealing with?
I love that question. So what we do in any of all of our play groups where parents come together for, say, 12 weeks at a time, develop their own peer group of parents of young children. It's age-specific play groups. So you go with a bunch of 3-year-olds, 2-year-olds, 1-year-olds, are all different, right? Developmentally. So we have we, with their permission, share their emails and telephone numbers and addresses. So they go home with 15 names that they get after the play group is over, come back to the network with that person, meet at Wegmans, go somewhere to a park. So now we're developing little peer groups that they get. And I think there's someone in this room who had a peer group 25 years ago, and still has friends today from those kinds of things. The New Parents Program is really the place where a lot of amazing things happen. That's a time of life when it's so unknowing.
Right, absolutely.
So we have so many parents in our network that are friends today, 20 years later, 15 years later, 26 years later, because of that grounding, of that beginning. And so, so the peer is so important. I'll quickly talk about our 5 protective factors. May I do that?
Sure, please.
So we're grounded in 5 protective factors. And one of them, and probably most importantly, is social connections. What can the Medford Family Network create in this city that connects you socially with parents and other people so you feel good and connected? Parent resilience. What can I do to give you places and opportunities, people and resources that you can do a bounce back? How can you bounce back when you're down and out and you didn't get it right this day? And it happens to all of us all the time. What can I do? What kinds of programs and opportunities? So that's the bounce back. And I just spoke about the parent education and child development programs. We do that in a variety of ways. So that's the parent education piece. That's the 3. The 4th one I spoke about was the concrete supports in times of need. You know, we got bad years, tough years, good weeks, bad weeks, but that freebie for you will be there for you. You call me, see if you need a cradle, what do you need. That concrete supports in times of need. That's the 4th protective factor. The 5th one is social and emotional competencies of children and parents. And we're working daily on that. And I know the Medford Public School System as well is looking at opportunities for teachers and parents to develop and really look at social and emotional learning. You know, the bullying behaviors, the friendship skills. How do we do that? And how do we do it well? And we have we're really developing play groups that are focusing on social and emotional learning skills. And I've added for parents too, because if you don't know how to regulate yourself and your feelings and your emotions, you're not going to be able to tell your kids to with much effect, right? So, but you can show your child, hey, you know, I blew up there yesterday. Today, when I get a little stressed out, I'm going to walk over here for a little while, then I'll come back to you. Or I'm going to sit down over here for a minute, and then we'll talk about things. I'm going to let you do your thing for a little while, then we'll come back and talk about it, because I can't let it go.
Absolutely.
So those are kinds of things we can put in language that is, children understand, and a real skill that you can end up having.
I understand. In the church, at least in mine, we say that there's no ministry until a need has been met. So really, what you're alluding to is really meeting those needs, so that you can then get to a place where you're doing kind of a holistic ministry. It's a full experience. We're going to get to all of the root causes of the problems. We're going to solve some of the immediate needs, and then over time, we can go at some of these other things.
You said the word holistic. I just wanted to, I think of our mission in terms of circles. Okay, there's concentric circles, so it starts with you as the mom or the dad, the family. Then you go to your neighborhood.
Yeah.
Are they supporting you? Okay, what's the social emotional stuff going on there? And then you look at your community. What's going on in Medford? Then you look at Massachusetts. Then you look at our nation. So it's all about those concentric circles in that way. The other way is a circle I think of is a parent comes to the family network and they learn something. Then they tell someone else. Then they close that circle. So you've made that work. And I see it constantly in the network. I'll see it in the parks. Hey, can you try this? I had the same problem with my child, and I tried this. Just give it a shot. Just give it a shot. And I know I've talked with other parents about that. So I think that's such a crucial way to think of things, circles.
Well, you clearly you're resource driven. You brought a lot of materials, curriculum, and the resource map here. So it's just important for folks to understand that you don't have to reinvent the wheel. There's always strategies, habits, and developmental areas that you don't have to figure out how to deal with, because somebody else has already figured it out and dealt with it. So you're time and time again, you're bringing an effective strategy that's been in use for years and years to a problem that a parent sees no way to get out of.
And
I think that's fantastic.
And you're alluding to hope. That's the most important thing we give our parents, is hope. And one thing we're working on, I'm really ecstatic about this one. We just started a program last January for parents of children in the ASD, the autism spectrum disorders, and it's gaining incredible speed.
Wow. We're
bringing guest speakers. We're looking at designing new programs at the Family Network to become models for inclusive programming. If we talk inclusive, then we have to be inclusive. So let's look at what we're doing, what we're not doing, and improve it. And we have adaptive programs going on. I know that we're working with the Recreation Department in Medford to see how we can ramp up that kind of programming in the city. And so it's really important. And I talk with these parents too about, help each other. They're amazing helps to each other.
I agree.
And I know we say the word silos sometimes in ways that seem negative. I look at silos as sometimes you need that silo. Sometimes you need to be a mom or a dad or a child with ASD, and only that person can understand. And then you bring that understanding to the larger world, larger community.
Sure.
But you need what you need. That's what we're trying to make sure you get.
It's interesting that you should talk about that, because one of the early programs that we did was with parents of children who were on the autism spectrum, as well as had some developmental delay concerns, and we talked about resilient factors, and we talked about peer-to-peer networks. We talked about all the things that those parents do in order to make their lives and lives with their children work more effectively. So we've been thinking of you without you even being in the room. We've been thinking about the things that you do and how you do those things. I want to say this. During your career, it's been an amazing career. You received many awards and recognitions. And in 2018, you were recognized as a community hero by the Anti-Poverty and Community Action Agency, ABCD. And I had a lot of experience with them when they were in Boston.
They're wonderful.
They came to Middlesex County. They're doing a lot of really, really good things. We have some partnerships with them here at the community center, tax and fuel assistance and things of that nature. But the award honors people who serve others, make a difference in people's lives, and show uncommon compassion and embody the heart of humanity, according to ABCD. You also received the 2018 Excellence in Public Service Award from the Medford Chamber of Commerce. How does it make you feel to receive that kind of recognition?
Oh, I can't, I'm like, it's not me, there's a word self-effacing, I just don't feel, you know what I mean?
No.
It's like, and you know what, it's us, you know, I've got an incredible team
Yeah.
that's supporting all of this, and it makes me, I'll go back to the chiaroscuro, it says like, oh God, thank you for letting me find a way to do what I hoped I could do, in some measure. And it's all about passion too, it's just, you know.
Absolutely.
Yeah,
You gotta love what you do.
You gotta love what you do.
Absolutely. if it's that kind of hard work down in the trenches, you really gotta love what you do.
Yeah.
Now I was at a meeting earlier in the week with a number of folks that do human services work. It was related to Medford's Community Development Block Grant. And we were talking about the challenges of doing this kind of work. Talk to me about some of the real challenges you've had. You've had a lot of success, clearly, but talk to me about those things that still kind of keep you up at night.
Okay, I was running an ESOL program, English for Speakers of Other Languages, with childcare and support, and many families, and we had a very successful run for quite a while, and my families are going away. I'm working with them one-on-one, but they're not coming to us anymore. I think there's a great fear. There's a great fear about what their lives are going to be if they come, and that's keeps me up at night.
It really is.
It keeps me up at night. So you know what I'm talking about, you know, there are families who Medford's fascinating because there are pockets and there are places where there are families that we're not reaching because they're hidden, because they may live in an apartment or a place that looks okay on the outside, but once you walk in, you know there's so many challenges going on for those families. You gotta really get in there and help, and they're hard to find, and some families are afraid to be found.
Sure.
So that's a challenge, a huge challenge. So what I do is I work with a program that we have in Medford called the Parent-Child Home Program. Now it's called the Parent-Child Plus. And we have home visitors who go into the home twice a week with a toy or a book and help those families whom we've met with one-on-one to develop literacy skills, to promote their language, so they can work more closely with their children who are going to go into school and need to work with their homework stuff and just learn what they're learning, and also to get jobs, you apply for jobs and learn. So it's a great program, but we find we have to go and find those families. It's a tough situation.
I can understand.
Yeah.
If you can't get Muhammad to come to the mountain, you have to bring the mountain to Muhammad.
Absolutely, I love it. I love that saying.
Fantastic.
I love that saying.
Fantastic.
So we'll keep doing that. And we try, and so I'm looking to my partners in this community who can, come to me and help me find them. And I often see people say, I'll have someone call you, and I'm like, no, if you'll please give me their number or address, let me do that entree. Let me be that caller, because there's a fear. You don't know who I am. You don't know what the Family Network is, but there's a fear that I'm going to be what you need or want. So I try to work with folks to let me do that, and then I have a wonderful Haitian outreach worker who comes with me with families, and we work closely with families.
Well, 5 decades gives you a
With
lot of
you.
latitude,
There you
doesn't it? Kind of do it the way you want to do it. Absolutely. Tell me about some of the things that really delight you.
Oh my
about
goodness.
Medford Family Network.
Oh my gosh. I think just parents being there with their children. The smile on a child's face. I miss Marie, and one of my little guys calls me Miss Marie, and I love hearing that. And I love knowing that when I walk down the street, you know, there's parents who've been with us for many, many years.
Okay.
And they're telling other people, and just the joy of seeing parents grow and saying, I got so much out of this. Can I take it again? I want to learn more.
Wow.
And they're telling others, and they're telling, spreading the word. That's what gives me incredible joy. And I also love being, we use the word flexible, ever new and ever evolving.
Okay.
So I love when
that.
parents can say to me, you know, have you tried this? Have you thought about that?
Yes.
That means you're thinking. You're not going to walk away. You're going to say, you know what? We can do this way.
Yeah.
And can you think about that? I'm like, that's awesome. Yes, we can.
Making your folks more solution oriented.
Exactly.
That's fantastic.
Outcome oriented.
Yeah.
Yep.
So tell me about maybe one or two of your aha moments, some of your
Ooh.
epiphanies.
Oh
so
my
to speak.
goodness, Terry. Yeah, I love Muhammad has to go to the mountain. That was definitely an aha moment.
Okay.
That you've got to be creative. You can't. There's no one solution for a parent. We've got 3 kids or 4 kids or 1 child. That, you know, if it's more than one, there's a different solution for each child, right?
Absolutely.
So for my aha, it was if you're gonna talk the talk, you gotta walk the walk. So you deal with, you learn to deal with each parent individually. So what I love is, I love running Myers-Briggs
Personality
inventory
indicators. Yeah, absolutely.
and we have a program called Parenting with Style.
Uh-huh.
And I love Myers-Briggs, but when I took it again as a student in a training session.
It changes every time you take it.
Oh, thank you. No, thank you. And it also, I learned, the aha moment was, if you're more of an introverted person, then I better watch my space. And I better sit here when I'm talking to you. If you're an extroverted person, I can hug you, or I can shake your hand, and I'll get you that way. If you're a more deliberate person, I may ask you to coach your children, or instead of sharing. If you're a person who loves that emotion, then I'll ask you to share. So the program. So the aha was really walking that walk.
Okay.
Learn to deal with each person, and because then I got to listen, right?
Yes.
I've got to listen first. I've got to watch. I've got to
That's
care. I've got to do that, and then let that figure it out and how we're going to do that.
Okay.
And that's, I think, how we retain people is if you demonstrate sincere, authentic care.
Absolutely.
And you're not going to go away.
Yeah, I love the authentic nature. Yeah, I mean that's it. That's it. So we're coming to kind of the close of the time that we have to spend together. So I want to maybe ask you about one or two of the accomplishments that you've been most proud of.
Oh boy. I've got 7 grandchildren.
Wow. Wow.
Thank you. 7 to 17. So I didn't do that though.
Yeah, but you can spoil them and send them home to their parents.
Yes, I can, and I do. Accomplishments. I guess that's another ever-evolving thing. I think, wow. I'm going to go back to my chiaroscuro again, knowing that I can get better every day.
Okay.
That I don't have to. That I can find resilience. That talking about is one thing, but how do you make sure that you can take care of yourself in ways? And I still don't take care of myself that well, but but an accomplishment was to really find the best. To keep finding the best.
Okay.
In myself and in others. I hope.
That's fantastic.
I hope.
So this is kind of a first for us. We had one of our online viewers check in.
Really?
Yeah, she calls herself Raspberry Rose.
Oh no! Oh my goodness!
And she sends her love to Movie Manga, who is one of the most spectacular people I know and had the chance to work with.
You're kidding me! Oh my gosh! Raspberry Rose is an amazing person that I used to hire to do health-related programs. She dressed up as a raspberry.
Oh my
She's an
goodness.
amazing woman. And I said, I want to be someone. She goes, you can be Marie Mango. So I was Marie Mango to her Raspberry Rose. She was an amazing person.
That is amazing.
This is years ago.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh. That's great. So she's watching tonight. Oh my gosh.
So you talked about hope a little bit earlier, and you know, we've kind of danced around it a little bit on a number of levels. What would you like to see added, changed, or enhanced for the future of MFN in like the next 5 years? What are your,
Oh my goodness.
What are your hopes?
First of all, that we don't go away.
Okay.
I'm writing my grant right now. It's being submitted in
Mhm.
September, so hopefully we'll get the grant for the next 5 years. So that would be wonderful.
Okay.
What do I hope? I just want to see more of the same. I want to see more of those circles.
Mhm.
I want to have hope this community can, really use each other well.
Mhm.
Really help each other well. That what we teach here gets, spread the wealth. Just more of the same, I think.
Okay.
Maybe another center somewhere in the city. Yeah.
Well, we like you coming through West Medford.
Yeah,
We like you over at Douglas Park.
yeah.
We certainly would like for you to come and be with us here at the community center in
Absolutely.
whatever capacity. I'm sure that there's some partnerships we could broker.
Yep.
So I'm offering that. I'll get
Okay.
beat up by Bill later, you know. I'm stepping out of my shoes. But anyways, I want to give you the last word, so
Oh,
to
my
speak.
goodness.
What would you like your audience to know?
Oh, okay, that, the logo I created years and years ago was a friend to know and a place to grow.
Mm-hmm.
It's a friend to know because you never know where you're going to find friends. And a place to grow is a dual intention there.
Mhm.
It's a place to grow developmentally
Okay.
and for your children, and for you, the parent, the caregiver, to grow inward,
Mhm.
to grow in your abilities and your skills and that. So that's, and to grow the center. Be a part of it.
Yes.
We're partnering on this.
Absolutely.
Be a friend to know and a place to grow. And that, to that end, we have an Ages and Stages program where we have the parents there in the driver's seat to look at their child's development and help us determine with them where their children are strong and how can we help them
Sure.
with other services in the community. So it's really all about the parents being proud and again with a hope, a hope for our future.
Absolutely.
Every time a child is born, the world is new again.
Oh, wow.
So
Absolutely.
that's what we believe.
Fantastic, fantastic. Well, it has been an absolute pleasure having you join us tonight.
Terry, it's been wonderful.
You really established you really established a substantial legacy in the area of family development and parenting education. It's remarkable. Medford is lucky to have you, and I know I speak for many officials from the city, including Mayor Stephanie Burr, who has joined us for the program. Good to see you, Mayor. As we close out the talk segment for this Friday, folks, can we have a round of applause for a true Medford champion, Marie Cassidy? Thanks as always to y'all for paying attention and being a part of this. Now we'll take a few minutes to reset, and I'll be back to give y'all the 411 on tonight's musical entertainment. Stretch your legs, refresh at the table and back, but don't go anywhere because the music's going to be banging. That's what the kids say. That's how they say it. All right, so Marie, thank you once again. Thank you all out there. We'll be back in just a few minutes. All right, folks, we can gavel this session back to order. Okay. So, all right, we're good. So if you'll remember, the last time we got together, we had Berkeley alum Amber Ace performing. Her music was contemporary, fresh, and unique, and that was very cool. Tonight, the men take the stage, and you're in for another different kind of a treat. Joining words and music for the second time, and certainly no stranger to local audiences in Medford, Somerville, and Greater Boston, is one of our great friends, an outstanding vocalist and musician. He played on my very first night hosting this program It was just our second live broadcast with Somerville Community Access, and he was tremendous. It gives us great pleasure to welcome back Rick Silberg. Rick reminds me of a Pied Piper with a Ray Charles soul. Get ready for some special music and don't be quiet about it. Rick has brought some good friends and musical collaborators with him. Accompanying Rick on piano, please welcome Ben Broder. Ben is a highly accomplished pianist. He has years of performing experience in and around Greater Boston. Welcome to Medford, Ben. Welcome to West Medford. On the reeds, that's funk speak for saxophone. We've got the great Amity Castanel. Now back in the day, we used to host sweat parties here at the old Army Barracks. All right, for anybody that doesn't know what a sweat party is, it's a place when you come in and the place is so hot that you break out in sweat before you've even done anything. That's a sweat party. So one of the slow jams that we used to grind, that's another word for getting too close to a girl you're not supposed to get too close to. One of the slow jams was called Out Among the Stars, and it was by a group that was called Chocolate Milk, one of those old soul and funk groups. Now the saxophone player for that group was none other than Amity Castanel. So I'm tripping right now, okay? What's more, I'm gonna gig for a minute with some heavyweight musicians. Rick has invited me to do a piece of poetry while the band plays. The piece is called Reprise for Naima. Naima is a long-time classic from John Coltrane's album Giant Steps. After that, we're gonna settle in for more incredible music. WMCC, give it up for Triple Play, featuring Rick Silberg, Ben Broder, and Amity Castanel. Okay, bro, on your lead. Note in the midnight air, aloft in the ether it floats out there. Staccato cadence sets the mood of bluesy lyrical attitude. Improvisational mystery like Monk's piano epistrophe or Miles' tone poem in a silent way and Flanagan's piece at the end of the day. Syncopated in sharp bright tone, a countdown to stardust, a twilight zone. Like a blue train running against the night, setting the pace, then out of sight. With Hartman crooning or bags on vibes, trios, duets, quartets, and tribes. The blues, the ballads, the avant-garde, incredibly gorgeous, impossibly hard. Giant steps move us miles ahead, cooking up bark for Harlem street cred. Melody's hand to the harmony wed. Piano's lullaby fresh in the bed. Rhythm rocks where the drummer led. Rhythm rolls where the bass man sped. Rhythm birthed what the saxophone bred. Rhythm heard what the master said. How could he make the bitter taste sweeter? How could a tortured soul delete her? How could the mellow scotch be neater? How could the smoke from each cigarette create blue notes that cast the net? Create blue beads of cascading sweat. Create blue haze that confounds regret. Create blue nights that one can't forget. Coltrane's notes are a crystal scale, a velvety scream in the urban travail, the heavenly riff of a love supreme, the pungent whiff of a lover's dream. Coltrane's notes are a cozy romance, the breezy bounce of a bop and a dance, the languid lilt of Stray's lush life, the cadence cut by the artist's knife. Coltrane's notes are standard refined like gold in a pan or gemstones mined. The sparkling glow of a hopeful dream. Hot black coffee with a hint of supreme. Coltrane's notes are Naima's reprise, like madness that brings a man to his knees, or sadness that comes when lovers part, the gladness removed from the balladier's heart. A tight arrangement cuts the gloom. The melody says that love's in bloom. The harmony spirit engulfs the room. The bride says yes to her lyrical groove. The groove and the beat then jump the broom. The kick drum resounds with a sonic boom as genius is birthed in a soul-filled womb. The musical mythology mocks a twisted path the hero walks. With shield and sword the hero stalks. The temptress shakes her twisted locks. Medusa snakes her vision shocks. Holds up a mirror to stony blocks. The harp and the horn melt icy rocks. Serpents retreat and symphony talks. Love's door opens as lyric knocks. Coltrane's notes are a roller coaster, a hallelujah and a paternoster. The glorious jolt of the maestro's hand. The saxophone titan is in command. Coltrane's notes are a crazy rhythm, the squawk of chords and playful schisms, the frenetic pace of Mr. PC, the coolest round midnight will ever be. Coltrane's notes are genius refined, like gold in a pan, or gemstones mined, the sparkling glow of a hopeful dream, hot black coffee with a hint of cream. Coltrane's notes are Naima's reprise, like madness that brings a man to his knees, or sadness that comes when lovers part, the gladness revived by the balladier's heart.
Okay. We're very fortunate. Are we on here? How are we doing? Are we all right? How's the vibe? How we, ooh.
There you go. Don't need that.
Call the paramedics. We needed that sound check. We got these two great musicians doing one that put Stanley Tarantino on the map. Sugar. Tuesday's just as bad. is oh so sad. Now the eagle flies on Friday. Saturday I go out to play. You know the eagle flies on Friday. And Saturday I go out to play.
Come on, Rick.
Sunday I go to church and I kneel down and pray.
Great chat.
And this is what I say. When I cry, Lord have mercy, Lord have mercy on me. You know I cry, Lord have mercy, Lord have mercy on me. You know I've tried to find my baby. Won't somebody please send her home to me?
Good.
That's why I know, yes I know, hallelujah, I just love her so. When I'm in trouble and I have no friends, I know she'll be right there till the end. Everybody asks me how I know. I smile at them as if she told me so. That's why I know, yes I know, hallelujah, I just love her so. Sometimes I call her on the telephone, sometimes I tell her all alone. But by the time I count from 1 to 4, I hear her knocking on my door. In the evening when the sun goes down, and there ain't nobody else around. She kisses me, she holds me tight. She tells me, Daddy, everything's alright. That's why I know, yes I know, hallelujah, I just love her so. I call her on the telephone. Sometimes I tell her all alone. But by the time I count from 1 to 4, I hear her knocking on my door. In the evening when the sun goes down, but hell, there ain't nobody else around. She kisses me, she holds me tight. She tells me, Papa, everything's alright. That's why I know, yes I know, hallelujah, I just love her so. Hallelujah, I just love her so. Hallelujah, I just love her so.
Okay, got you.
Anyway, we appreciate your support. This is always a great audience, and I think we're gonna do it justice tonight. Anyway, this reminds me, we have a bass player friend that we sometimes use, and when we get to a tune that he doesn't really feel that comfortable, he doesn't say he doesn't know it, okay? He never says, I don't know that tune. He always says, how about if we do another one? And it always cracks me up. So we do another one. Anyway, we got the right key, we got the right chart here.
I like it.
Georgia, I said, Georgia, Georgia, the song that's sweet and clear as moonlight through the pine. Reach out to me, of eyes smile tenderly, still in peaceful dreams I see. Before we can do just the two, let's do Blue Bird. I'm going with just the two first. Which one you want? Blue Bird first. I'm going to do a incredible Charlie Parker line. It's called Bleed, and you're gonna like it. Right. For the dawn of the new bird, and you can't go wrong. Go back and to Linda Charlie Parker, he gave us his soul through his heart. It's all about goodwill and understanding, the feeling for the blues that's newborn. Practice and our work that's demanding, with a passion that's never time worn. Go back and to Charlie Parker, he gave us his soul through his heart. The trouble of the bluebird, listen to him singing his song. Listen for the dawn of a new bird. Listen and you can't go wrong. Go back and to Linda Charlie Parker. He gave us his soul for his heart. It's all about goodwill and understanding, a feeling for the blues that's newborn. It's practice and hard work that's so demanding, with a passion that's never time worn. Go back and living in the Charlie Parker. He gave us his soul for his war. He gave us his soul for his war. He gave us his life. He gave us his soul through his heart. That was just the two of them.
Yeah.
That was wonderful.
Yeah.
If I do say so.
Yeah, absolutely.
Now, good job. Get a nice little. Let's do something.
Yeah, sounds good.
Jay is good. Are you doing G? Okay, sorry. G, yeah? Okay.
We in, we good to go.
Okay. G is good. And good begins with G, right? That's the thing. there ain't nothing can harm. Daddy and Mammy standing by. All right, folks, we're getting near quitting time. So we're going to do a beautiful tender ballad for you. Breaking up big rocks on the chain gang. Big rocks and serve of the time. Breaking up big rocks on the chain gang. Cause I've been convicted of crime. Hold steady right there while I hit it. Well, I reckon that ought to get it. I've been working, but I still got a long way to go. I commit the crime, a lot of needing, a lot of being hungry and poor. I left the grocery store, a man a bleeding, when it caught me robbing a store. Hold steady right there while I hit it. Well, I reckon that ought to get it. I've been working, but I still got a long way to go. You say 5 years hard labor, and what you get for robbing next door. Hold steady right there while I hit it. Well, I reckon that ought to get it. I've been working, but I still got a long way to go. One verse. Breaking up big rocks on a chain gang. Break rocks and serve them a time. Breaking up big rocks on a chain gang. Cause I've been convicted of crime. Hold steady right there while I hit it. Well, I reckon that ought to get it. I've been working, but I still got a long way to go. I said I've been working, but I still got a long way to go. Once more. I said I've been working, still got a long way to go.
Okay, guys and dolls, this is a wrap on yet another wonderful evening of words and music. Man, I'm telling you. Right, that's triple play behind me. Rick Silberg, Jewish boy, the Pied Piper want to thank you for indulging me with a little bit of poetry and music. Man, I'm telling you, I'm so geeked, I don't even know what to do. I want to thank everybody in the audience for lending us your hearts and your attention once again. I do want to thank, in her absence, Medford Family Network's Marie Cassidy. She did a wonderful job. Great stories, genuine and sincere. Kudos as ever to Yvette Wilkes and Bill Hager on the technical side.